You're listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more. Hey, yo, what up? It's your boy, Al Mega, and another Comic Crusaders podcast. Good day to everyone, one and all. What up? Today, we have a fantastic show because we have two legends right here, for real. And their project is about a legend, but a very bad guy. You know what I feel? In real life, that inspired a movie that we all love. Who am I talking about? First off, let me introduce the legendary creator of comics like the Goon and Hillbilly. Publishing his own press, the one only Eric Powell. What's up, brother?
How's it going?
All righty. And then we have your partner that's coming up right now. He's the author of true crime classics like The Deviant and Serial Killer Files, and he's collaborating with Eric right now in this amazing book, the one and only Harold Schechter. Wepa.
Hey, how you doing?
What's going on, brother? Come on, man.
I don't know, man. It's a little hard to match your energy this early in the morning.
Yeah, and I've only had one cup of coffee. I'm like, I'm up. I'm ready to. I blame this. My father-in-law came from New York and brought me this bottle from Santo Domingo. It's called Añejo.
Oh, nice.
And let me tell you, I had this last night, and I don't remember when I went to bed. I was thinking about it. How did I get in bed last night? Wow. And it's great stuff, but what's really great stuff is this project that you guys have. It's an original graphic novel all about one of America's most notorious killers ever, Ed Gein. And I love the title. Did you hear what Ed Gein done? I love it. So before we get into that, give us some insight of how you guys hooked up to collaborate on this. How was this conversation? How did this come up? Like, I want to do a 220-page graphic novel on Ed Gein.
I'll let Eric take that. He was the inspiration.
Okay.
I was driving through Wisconsin and just a very desolate area, and because I was very familiar with the story of Gein, I started getting ideas about how it might be interesting to do a graphic novel based around his isolation. But being a huge fan of Harold, I had already read Deviant several times, and I thought, well, there's no way I'll do anything better than that. But I had the idea that maybe he had learned something new in that time period, and since he had written the book, so I thought, well, I'll take a shot and reach out to him and see if he might want to collaborate on a graphic novel. Not thinking at all that he would respond. But luckily for me, he turned out to be a huge comic fan. And so, yeah.
Excellent. And what was as a comic fan, were you aware of Eric's work prior, Harold?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. Big fan of the Goon. I back in the day, had an enormous collection of Silver Age Marvels, including the first 50 issues of Spider-Man in mint condition, which sadly I had to sell to pay for my first divorce.
Oh man, not even on something cool. Only your freedom, right?
No, I keep telling myself, well, if I hadn't sold them, I wouldn't have my children. But then I keep thinking, not too sure that was a good choice.
Those 50 issues are going for bank right now, I'll tell you.
Anyway, so, a big fan. I collected original comic book art. Nice. And, I'd always considered Eric to be arguably the greatest comic book illustrator of his generation. So, when he reached out to me, I just leapt at the chance.
Oh man, this is great because you guys definitely, because with the way that you draw, Eric, and those words, Harold. Oh man, this book got me hating Ed's mom already. I mean, wow, what a psycho person. Seriously, I mean, where did all that research come from, and then inspirations of how you guys kind of set up those frames, and why those particular frames? Like, was that your anticipation? Do you want the reader to hate her that much and understand why poor Ed went ballistic?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the research, for Deviant, Deviant was my first true crime book. Excuse me. I wrote it, it's got to be like 30 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
But I did a lot of firsthand research, went to Plainfield, spoke to people who knew the Gein family, who had known Ed. So, yeah, I mean, I based, I'd seen a lot of psychiatric reports on Ed's background and what happened between him and his mother. So all that research was there. Obviously Eric transformed it into this amazing visual experience.
Yeah.
Amazing indeed. Let's take a look real quick. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Eric.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think I think it's a little hard to have sympathy for Augusta.
Oh man, it's really the way that you dig in, just her facial expressions as well. I mean, I feel bad, of course, when she get kind of banged up too, because that family was very twisted, weren't they? Other things going on.
Yeah. Well, the great thing that Eric did was he represented Augusta in the way that Ed Gein experienced her. So, I mean, that's one of the great, brilliant things about, the art he produced, was that he really got into Ed Gein's head, his subjective experience of Augusta.
Mm-hmm. You see that difference too between Henry and Ed, how Ed feels, and Henry wants out, poor guy, and Ed is like, how dare you talk about mother this way? You're like, what is wrong with you, boy?
Yeah.
And again, you say the art. I mean, just look at this one scene when you open a book. This is gorgeous, bro.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was interesting. I remember when we were working on one section of the book, and I was concerned that you would have too much sympathy for Ed's dad. But Harold, made a good point that every person in this story is flawed. There's you can have sympathy for them, but at the same time, we're laying out that they were not great people. They were human people. They were flawed. And they definitely flawed. But it's we didn't want it to be too one-sided or have a character too one-dimensional. I guess Augusta is the most one-dimensional character, but it's hard to portray her as anything else when she was so extreme.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And why did you choose to add this in as well with the Alfred Hitchcock in this way and that, and how that line that he dropped? What was it about morality? I'm like, whoa. Wow, is it his fault that we got now the psycho stuff in court? You could get away with it. Is it Alfred Hitchcock's fault?
Well, I mean, all those quotes from Hitchcock come from a famous interview he did with the French director Francois Truffaut. Okay. So yeah, those are all verbatim quotes, which Eric came up with and incorporated. But Gein was always most famous as the inspiration for Norman Bates in Psycho. The guy who wrote the novel Psycho, Robert Bloch, that the movie was based on, was living in Wisconsin, not far from Springfield, at the time the Gein story broke. So, and if you read the novel Psycho, when they finally capture Norman Bates, he talks about how the newspapers keep comparing him to Ed Gein. So, and Hitchcock was aware there was a true life basis.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he knew all the details, but.
Gotcha. Yeah, but that line, I mean, he was definitely a very smug person then. It's like, I ain't gonna blame me. Yeah. What movies did the guy watch when he first murdered the first lady? I'm like, wow, he really said this? Wow. He was wilding. But again,
I think it's you can make the comparison that, you know, where people say video games are causing,
yes,
you know, violence and stuff. Now it's the same thing.
And comic books caused it back in the day too, apparently.
Right. The Comics Code Authority was created because they thought, you know, comic books were turning kids into juvenile delinquents. So it's always been, you know, a blame entertainment kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man. So when you guys did the Kickstarter, did you kind of expect that Kickstarter to kick the butt that it did?
I was hopeful. I didn't know. I mean, when you put yourself out there like that, it's difficult because, you know, I'm putting my name out there and Harold's name and our company, you know, and what happens if we don't fund it? That's bad. You know, it's a black eye, but you know, thankfully we did really well. So
yeah.
Excellent. And Harold, was that your first experience with a Kickstarter?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I did once or twice actually contribute to Kickstarter campaigns because a couple of friends of mine were doing these documentary films. But yeah, no, Eric just contacted me one day, asked how to feel about, you know, doing this Kickstarter campaign. I was fine with it. Again, Eric, as was true through most of the collaboration, did the lion's share of the work. So yeah, but it was great. But I must say, like, I was following, you know, once the Kickstarter thing got started, I was following it obsessively, you know, every day.
On your phone every 5 minutes. Ooh, where's it at now? Where's it at now? I get it, man. I'm like that too. And I want to show people, I mean, it looked dope. I mean, 1,880 backers, and you got $103,052. Amazing. And that was the goal. I mean, slightly over almost three times over that. I mean, amazing. And multiple levels. Actually, let me play the trailer too. Let me have to stop the screen for a moment and re-add it because it has audio. And let's share that with the folks right here too.
Hey, this is Harold Schechter. Very delightedly, I am working on a graphic novel with Eric Powell. I've always wanted to do a graphic novel. Eric reached out to me. You know, it's going to afford us the opportunity.
Oh. So sick and creepy, that music. Oh man. Love it. And is it two different editions then? We have a hardcover and a soft cover?
Well, the book stand edition, the regular edition, is a hardcover. But for the Kickstarter was for a signed special edition hardcover.
Oh, dope. And if people wanted to pick up this book now, they could get it now?
No, it's coming out in August. Hold on, I'll look up the exact date because we had to change our release by a week.
Oh, really?
Due to printer problems at the printer. August 11th, it will be in comic shops.
Oh man, folks, this is over 200 plus page original graphic novel. I mean, it's gorgeous. Again, I'm halfway through it right now, And again, I'm obsessed. I can't wait to get back and finish before I start kind of working on my stuff. I gotta finish. Are we gonna get more works from you guys after this? Because this is so awesome. I'm telling you. I mean, are we gonna get any of Harold's stuff getting translated into maybe some comics?
I think we would want to do something original. You think?
Yeah. You mentioned.
Yeah.
There's a particular crime that Eric mentioned that I haven't written about, and at least I haven't written a book about. But yeah, I would certainly collaborate again with Eric at a moment's notice. And it'd be great to do something original.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's another question, because again, COVID got lifted, recently. How were you guys working collaboratively? Everything again through the net? Did COVID affect anything? Slow down anything? Did it make the process easier or better for you guys? Since it's more concentrated or something?
I don't think it changed anything as far as my process, other than mentally,
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm used to working remote,
Okay.
pretty isolated. So it didn't really change much.
Well, the one thing that did change was Eric was to have all this research material from when I wrote my book, and Eric was slated to come visit and take a look at everything I had, and of course, that plan got scuttled. So there were times when I had to scan stuff and send it to him and so on and so forth, or make Xeroxes and send him physical copies. Still hoping he'll come out to visit.
I still want to go through all your stuff. So
yeah.
I still want to snoop.
Yeah. But otherwise, we collaborated mostly on Zoom, and that worked out great.
Okay, excellent. Because I know a lot of people, this was different, and this was your first experience doing kind of a comic this way. So just curious of how you felt, Harold, just working on a comic that way, and this being your first experience instead of having Eric there at the crib, going through these irons in person and having that, vibe.
Well, it was definitely a learning experience for me. I'd obviously never written anything in that format. So, at first, Eric and I had slightly different visions of, the story we wanted to tell.
Okay.
But, I would write things out in movie script form and send it to Eric. And, Eric did significant revisions, and, we would talk back and forth. And then Eric translated it into, comic book format, sent me the text. I went over that, made some editorial comments. Finally that got finalized, and Eric did his stuff.
So how long was the overall process from beginning to end, for the story in the book to be done?
It was long.
Oh, wow.
It was way longer than a normal project for me. Also, I was juggling a lot of stuff. I wanted to get started. I don't know, Harold, when did we first start talking? Was it mid 2019 or something like that?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there was a long period there where it was kind of dormant because, unlike me, Eric's busy with a lot of stuff. I'm retired now, and as Eric knows, spend most of my time on my PlayStation 5 now. So Eric was very, very busy.
And everything seemed to be taking longer than expected. And I think Harold was wondering if I was ever actually going to do the book, because it was like I had a project slated, and it would be like, all right, well, this will take 2 months, and it ended up taking 4.
Oh, wow.
And then everything, it happens when you're running a company and your attention is being pulled in so many different directions. You have to juggle so many plates.
Yeah.
And then the script, I don't think I took into account how the difference between working on a nonfiction script versus the normal stuff that I do, which is, I don't have to research.
Yeah.
and so there was a lot of and just the back and forth between getting our the characters right and really finding the through line in the plot that we wanted to hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Eric also, was doing his own original research, and came up with, some really great stuff that, in a way, hadn't been available to me when I wrote the book. Because, there's no internet back then.
Mm-hmm.
What was internet back then? Absolutely. What is that?
Yeah, exactly.
So
I think it's amazing. Yeah, I think it's amazing the research that Harold did for the original book without the internet. I think that it
boggles the mind now, right? You're like, how did we live without internet back then? Everything's now, at your keyboard. But back then, that was like thorough work and calling people like, Harold, man, I salute you, bro. Salute you. Much respect. That OG hustler, man. I love it. Okay, he's from New York. What do you want, right?
Well, thanks very much. Appreciate that.
Nah, man, bro. And are we gonna get any crime stories from the Bronx, bro? From you in comic book format, maybe? You're telling me you in the Bronx. Now, what era were you in the Bronx? Like what era was that? Was it the 80s, 90s? Was it Bronx, on fire, or was Bronx getting fixed up?
Dude, I was in the Bronx in the 1950s and 60s.
Oh, nah, bro.
So, I was, when I was growing up in the Bronx in New York, like the big story was the Cape Man killings. It was all that time that Eric was just talking about. The big thing was, juvenile delinquency and stuff. So, it's a good question. I mean, actually, Son of Sam was living in the Bronx. Son of Sam was living in Co-op City, not far away from where I grew up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I guess that he would be the main guy.
Huh. There you go. The Bronx legend himself. No. Wow. And I want to ask you, Eric, man, because you got Albatross Funny Books, man. You were working with previous publishers, and then now you're banging out your stuff on your own label. How's that going, man? And how do you even feel having that, journey?
I love it, but at the same time, it can be exhausting. It's a lot of extra work, but we're coming up on 5 years of having Albatross as a dedicated publisher, and so I've learned a lot. I learned a lot of things, what to do and what not to do. So I'm hoping the next 5 years go smoother, but it's been good so far.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that, brother, because again, multi-talented, big fan of the Goon and the Hillbilly. What type of other titles we gonna get, man, from Albatross? Any new things coming up from that crazy mind of yours?
We have a comedy book that I did with a couple of writers. One of them is Lucky Yates, who is the voice of Dr. Krieger from oh my God, I'm drawing. I just had a brain fart.
Happens at our age.
Archer, the show Archer, animated show Archer. So it's called Lester of the Lesser Gods. It's a post-apocalyptic kind of weird thing. So it's a one-shot we have coming out soon.
Excellent. So. Oh, I can't wait for that. And Harold, I know you say you're retired, but what are you up to besides playing PlayStation? And if it's PS5, what's your jam?
Right now on PS5, I'm working my way through Spider-Man Miles Morales. But, I work, still writing. No shortage of psychopathic sex killers in our nation's history. Like that. Yeah. So, working on a book right now. Tell people I'm a human dynamo between 8:30 a.m. and roughly 10:30 a.m. That's get all my work done, and then the rest of the day just down in the basement with my PlayStation. So.
Harold keeps saying he's retired, but then it's like, I got a book coming out next week.
Well, I am retired from my day job. So.
Yeah,
that's his New York blood. That's what it is, man. You can't stop. Man. What are you doing? I'm retired now. Really? So what are you up to? Oh, I just finished writing my book. I wrote some bikes, some weightlifting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm cutting up some contracts over here. I mean, that's Harold. He a player. So you say, where can we see your works though? I mean, do you have anything coming up soon that people could check out?
Well, I
be on the lookout for
in the spring, which I'm very happy about. It's called Maniac. It's called the Bath School Disaster, which was happened in 1927 in a small town in Michigan. It's the worst school massacre in United States history.
Really? Wow.
And the worst act of domestic terrorism before Timothy McVeigh blew up that building in Oklahoma City. But, very few people remember it for a variety of reasons. That came out, I think, in April, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so now, I'm about 3/4 of the way through a new book. I don't really like talking too much about the projects I'm working on.
Of course.
But that should be done by the end of this year and I guess out next year. So.
Oh, man, he's the man. Keep him busy. I love it, bro. And I do want to ask you here, though, you have this theme on crime and killers and all. Where did that fascination come from for you?
Well, I tell people it partly comes again from growing up when I did back in the 50s and 60s. My imagination was so shaped by all these horror movies and EC horror comics, and, all the universal horror monsters that were just being shown on TV. So I grew up with this fascination with horror stories and stories about monsters, and wondering why we need those stories. So, when I wrote Deviant, I thought I was actually creating a new literary genre because I thought of it more as true horror than true crime. I was interested in real life monsters whose crimes get turned into these myths and folk stories. But anyway, so I would say my mind was shaped, if not warped, by, all that childhood exposure to horror stuff.
Nice. Yeah, man, I'm a big horror fan. Love horror. Grew up, my first horror movie was Linda Blair's Hell Night in the movie theaters. My parents took me to the movie theater to see that as a little kid. Yeah. And it just blew my mind. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. It's so crazy. And I just got hooked ever since. Hooked. So thank you, Linda Blair. It wasn't The Exorcist. It was Hell Night.
I'm very familiar with Hell Night.
Yeah, right. And that was my first, I'm telling you, my first movie like that. It was great. I absolutely loved it. And Eric, what about you, man? Because again, you have this awesome art style, very twisted. Just looking at the cover for that Gein, all these masks and everything. Because again, you also helped inspire Leatherface, of course, with the mask stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, where do you get your style from? Like, what inspired that? Just like Harold, a fan of horror, or?
I have to. As far as my art style, I mean, I have to start with Bernie Wrightson. And early, if you look at my earlier stuff, you see a lot more Bernie in there than maybe the later stuff. But through him, I was familiar with his work before I ever even knew his name. I just, I had seen some Swamp Thing comics and was just drawn in by the art. And then later, as I started collecting in my teen years and everything, I was like, oh, that's that guy who does Swamp Thing, and it's Bernie Wrightson. So through him, I kind of had a history lesson, kind of backtracked. I would read interviews with him and he would talk about his influences. And from him, I got into, a lot of the EC comic artists and everything. Also, Jack Davis is a huge influence on me.
Great shot.
So I think those two artists, more than anybody, have really influenced my work.
Excellent, man. Beautiful work. Thank you guys for inspiring these gentlemen here, for real. Because again, the book is amazing. Dropping August 11th. People got to scoop this 200+ page book that will keep you mesmerized, folks. I promise you. It's a great tale. I'm halfway through and I'm hooked. I got to finish before I do my work. So sorry, guys, if I post things late. Because it's all about this. Yeah, I always say Ed Gein. So it's not Gein. He said, how do you pronounce it again?
It's pronounced Gein.
Gein.
Gein. Yeah, apparently his father was, his background was Scottish.
Okay.
And apparently the family name was originally McGean, which is why, it's pronounced like E-E-N. If you look at it, you think it should be Gein, the way it would be in German. But it's actually originally a Scottish name. So
okay, gotcha. This guy, homie did mad research. Your paperwork and research must be sick, bro. It must be. Very intriguing. Eric, please let me know when you have that adventure.
Yeah,
at Harold's house.
I was very bummed when COVID broke out.
I could picture
canceled.
Eric. Damn you, COVID!
Yeah. I mean, there were much worse things happening in the world due to COVID, but that was a bummer for sure.
Well, still in the cards.
Yeah. Yeah. I would definitely love to know more when you see that research. That'd be pretty cool. Snap some pics of this awesome, folks. This is what pre-internet research looks like. All right, guys, you guys have been awesome. I've been sharing, of course, with people can actually visit you guys, folks. Check out Eric, right, at Goon Guy on Twitter, and please check out the publishing press Albatross EFB, and also the website Albatross Funny Books. Hit the shop up. There's so much great stuff you could purchase from there. And of course, you got to check out Harold's website. He ain't on social. So you want to know what Harold's up to? Go to haroldschechter.com and see everything that he's working on. Do you have a blog there too? Do you write? Do you keep people up to date on your website? Do you keep your website up to date naturally and provide some thoughtful insights about yourself, or just when you got a project coming?
Actually, I never go on it. But I have somebody who keeps it up for me.
Gotcha. Awesome. But people go visit the website. So as his assistant updates it, you see everything that he's got coming. Guys, you've been awesome. I can't wait to finish the book. And when it comes out, I got to get that hardcover for real. I wasn't aware about the Kickstarter. I wish I was, because I would have definitely kicked into this one. Definitely worthy. Support everything you do, Eric and Harold. Based on what I've done, look back on and reading here, and just hearing you speak, I'm definitely gonna check out a lot of your work, and especially your New York homie. So New York love and support coming your way too.
Same here, right back at you.
So folks, again, there it goes. All right, show the guys love, show the book some love. Let me put it back on screen real quick. Right there. Look at this awesome book. All right, show the love, folks. Comes out August 11th. All right.
And that is the limited edition cover by William Stout.
Oh, bro, what a great job. Oh, and I see he goes, 1978 with Stout, it says that?
Yeah.
Very nice. Awesome. Guys, thanks again, you guys have been awesome. Thank you again thank you guys for being creative. Thank you for providing us entertainment. God bless you guys on your journey. Continued success today and always.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Later, guys. Bye.
See ya.
And folks, that was Eric Powell, Harold Schechter, legends in their respective genres, working together and collaborating on an amazing new book. Please, again, purchase this book on August 11th, but from Albatross Funny Books. You will not regret it. Trust you, me. And thanks again, everybody that tuned in to check this out, to set what up. I appreciate it. Hasta la próxima, mi gente. Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.com and our extended podcast family over at undercovercapes.com. And also make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.